Please give us your name and then answer the question.
Talisha Crane for the One Asbury ticket. I wanted to address crime from a personal standpoint. A couple of Thursdays ago, there was a shooting that happened in front of my home where my children were playing outside in front of them. I ran home as I got the call from my son after he called 911 for the victim that laid in the driveway. When I got there, I did see a member on another ticket there, did not say a word to me. I have not got a call from anyone from City Council or any other ticket in regards to the shooting that happened in front of my home, 1403 and a half Madison Avenue. So when we talk about community and doing for our young people and our youth and caring for our brothers and sisters, I'm asking, where was concern in that? This shooting occurred in front of our home, and also the perpetrators were not from Asbury Park. Asbury Park has a bad stigma that people can come here and get away with murder. I'm requesting that we have a campaign on crime so people know that you don't just come into Asbury Park and do anything that you like and commit murder. Thank you.
Nora Highland, did you want to address this question?
Well, I think we've heard a lot about crime in the last few minutes. The only thing that I'd like to add is that it's the role of the City Council to coordinate services to a city. And there's lots of good things happening in this city and not enough coordination. And if we're going to address this problem systematically, we need to be systematic about it, and we need to open up communication and coordinate those opportunities. The other thing I would just say, I hate to see people attacking each other on a dais like this. I think everybody does have a commitment to unifying this city, and obviously we all care about the city. And it's important that we all make an effort to reach out and talk across differences in the city of Asbury Park, and I know that's something that the A-team is committed to doing. So thank you.
Clavette Hill?
Yes, the last shooting that happened in a home right behind me. I can hear the shots going off. I rushed to my window, of course, like I always do when I hear, gunshots going off, which several of them that I heard going off, I would give the police the description of the car and the person that was in the car in hopes that they would catch the person, but as usual, they never do. Crime is high in Asbury, and something do need to be done about it. No one likes to talk. No one likes to speak up. They're afraid that something's going to happen to them if they say anything. Anonymous programs do need to happen more. And even if we have to give rewards, to the one that is giving these anonymous calls when they capture this person, would be great. Because with the rewards, more people begin to talk.
Could I hear from Dorval Gillis on this?
When I first came in Asbury, 1977, everything was good. Now we have to work together and reduce the crime and help the police or the community and help to catch whatever is doing something wrong.
The only person I haven't heard from on this question is John Moore.
Thank you, and I think it's been covered pretty much, so I'm going to do a rebuttal over rebuttal over rebuttal if there's such a thing. In refers Mr. Palmer's comment, and he's absolutely right. Nobody from One Asbury made the forum last night, be it Friday night. Mr. Dangler was in touch with me less than a week ago. I explained to him we had 2 previous commitments. He was very gracious and understood that, and we said, please, Mr. Dangler, if you could make it another date, or even if you could attend tonight and get to know us. But when I explained that to him, he had no problem with it. He understood. With the last-second invite, he understood we could not make it. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess that completes our round robin. The next question is, what do you see as a better marketing strategy for Asbury Park business? That's the question. And let's start with somebody from the A-team. Who would like to take this? Name?
Thank you. Jim Keaty. The first thing we need to have is an overarching vision for what we'd like the city to be. And our team is committed to reestablishing Asbury Park as a premier tourism and entertainment destination. There was $40 billion spent on tourism in New Jersey last year, concentrated in 4 counties. Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic, and Cape May. We want to put together a branding and marketing schematic that will bring those tourists to Asbury Park. If we could capture 5% of that market, that brings $2 billion of revenue into our city. That would bode very well for the businesses who are in town. It would also help those businesses to hire more of the people that live in our city, which would help us deal with the unemployment rate, which would help us deal with the spiral of violence that leads to the crime. So we have to have that overarching vision. Again, tourism and entertainment. Bruce Springsteen handed us a gift in 1973, with his breakout album, Greetings from Asbury Park. It's iconic. It's like Coke. It's like Nike. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's branding magic. We need to build our branding and marketing schematic around that idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
May I hear from Randy Thompson, please?
So to attract business, and well, to start, I want to just talk on the point that Jim just mentioned, which is a very sharp marketing scheme, but I also want to bring it just one step further. I don't want to just be appealing to commercial and tourism traffic. I want people to know that this is going to be a safe and healthy environment. Otherwise, we'll build up along the fault lines that we have, and we'll end up looking like Atlantic City, and nothing will be resolved. So I want to address crime head on. I also want to start having what is going to be a very difficult conversation, but building a sense of responsibility for the educational outcomes and building that sense of responsibility on the city council and letting them know that it is not acceptable to tolerate failed educational outcomes, and that's the foundation that our kids are going to use to become stable, independent adults. And if they don't get that, then they're going to come around as the next crime statistic. So I want to address these factors head on, have a fearless conversation, and start moving towards a safer, healthier community. And that will be more attractive all around. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody on the One Asbury team take this question.
Joe Warner from the One Asbury team. And the marketing plan, I think, for Asbury Park has to encompass more than just our waterfront. Our waterfront is absolutely an essential piece to it. And music is an essential piece to it, and I think we all know about that. But we have an amazing downtown area, and we want to revitalize the Springwood corridor as well. And by doing that, you can market the city as more than just a beach destination. This is a place where the arts live, where the music lives, where we have independent bookstores, we have amazing shops on Cookman. And as we market our downtown and our businesses, we also would diversify our economy, right? Because if you want to deal with our unemployment problem, you have to diversify your economy and train your people. And if we can diversify our economy beyond simply the waterfront and actually move into other areas like the tech sector that's booming here, right, or beginning to boom, or green technologies, or even urban farming. Those are pieces that we could diversify our economy, and then when we get to jobs later, we'll talk about how we could get our youth into those positions.
Thank you. From the Forward Asbury Park team.
Okay, if you were here last Sunday for the restaurant tour, you would already know that Asbury Park is a destination. And we're going to have the best summer ever because the council was able to get the boardwalk together and it's completely finished, and we are going to be the destination with the boardwalk. Economic development, you want to talk about that? This council has been instrumental. 5 redevelopment areas just in the city of Asbury Park. You're talking about not just the waterfront, you're talking about the Central Business District, you're talking about Washington Avenue, you're talking about Main Street, you're talking about Springwood. This council, along with our other 2 members, brought redevelopment to Springwood Avenue. It is coming, it is there, so it's not just waterfront redevelopment. Over $10 million in infrastructure spent just on the west side for Springwood Avenue. New streets, new lights, a new senior center, and more to come. So this council, along with our Mr. Hobson and Mr. Potter, plan on continuing to move it forward for economic growth.
Thank you. AP out front.
Steve Williams, AP out front. The first thing I would do, I would lean on AAU, Pop Warner. Every major city, or even small city, they lean on these organizations. AAU being the Amateur Athletic Union, that's a money generator. That's a revenue generator. We could partner with Madison Marquette, the school board, and host AAU tournaments from the end of basketball season all the way until August. That's called the live period, where coaches can come in and things can happen that way as far as sports. Next, hours of operation. Seaside, all the other places that Mr. Keaty mentioned, their hours of operations for them areas, for their boardwalk area, 3, 4 in the morning. Hours, it closed down 1 a.m., 2 a.m. We need them hours of operations. Again, urban enterprise zone. We used to have an urban enterprise zone that helped small businesses gain money to start their business. It's no longer there. I believe we should bring that back into the city and also offer an earned income tax credit for those who hire within Asbury Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Suggs?
Well, one thing you want to start doing is advertise. Let me say this first of all. People who move from point A to point B, in this case coming to Asbury Park, they watch the level of government activities within the community. If you have a dysfunctional city council where it's not paying attention to the crime rate and doing nothing to bring jobs here, why should you move you and your family here? I mean, this is what people watch. As a former employee of the city, I interact with people who are still in City Hall. I found on 2 different occasions that, for one, the city, of course, has a redevelopment attorney, but I found in speaking to someone that our redevelopment attorney is being paid, although he's been paid to be our advocate in negotiations with the developers. He's actually being paid by the developers. That sounds a little odd to me. I reached out to the state. They're going to send me a form. I'm going to file papers with the state, District 9, Ethics Committee to find out if that's correct or not.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any rebuttals or additional comments to be made on this question? Let's begin with you.
Myra Campbell, 1 Asbury. I would like to rebut something that Sue Henderson stated on the west side and Springwood Avenue. And as I look out at this audience, some of you may remember Love Canal in New York City. It wasn't
Niagara
until,
Falls.
Pardon me?
Niagara Falls, not New York City.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Hope I didn't lose time because of that. Let me go on and say, I walk those streets of the west side 2 or 3 times a week. We will have a video on the infrastructure work that was taking place. There was a total disregard for the health and the safety of the residents of the west side. Once again, I went to city council meeting every 2 weeks to report the different things that were going on, and nothing happened. So I ask you to tune in to our website to see the video, because what's under that ground is not what you see when you drive up and down Springwood Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I would like to rebuttal to
Your name, please.
Dwayne Small, A-Team. I would like to rebuttal what Councilman Henderson mentioned. And Councilwoman, pardon me, she mentioned about redevelopment. When you talking about redevelopment, all of these projects she mentioned, whose hand was on the shovel? Was it people from Asbury Park, or was it people from the outside of Asbury Park? You have 3 projects going on right now in Asbury Park. One on the corner of Lake Avenue and Ridge, one down here on Kingsley and Ocean, and one over here on 5th in Kingsley. Who's doing it? People from outside of our community. And I hope in that video that Asbury One put up, I hope that Myra mentioned that I was helping her on that project. And I provided funding.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Dan Harris, the A-Team. When we talk about marketing Asbury Park, I think everybody knows that on Wednesday nights we have fireworks on the boardwalk, which is a nice thing. And what we notice about when we have fireworks is that everybody is down there, spending money, having a good time. Why is everybody down there? Because all of a sudden it becomes affordable. Okay, it's free. What we have to have in Asbury, we have to have activities on the beachfront that everyone can take part in, family activities. We have a great gay pride festival, and I go down there and listen to the music just like everybody else. But if I want to go to a Caribbean festival, I have to go to New York. If I want to go to Cinco de Mayo, I have to go to New York. If I want to go to another ethnic festival, I have to go outside of Asbury Park to enjoy that festival. What we need to do, and we have spoken to Madison Marquette, is embrace our ethnic communities and give them the opportunity to use the beachfront, Convention Hall, the Paramount, so they can have events there, so we can embrace everything in Asbury Park, and through that, we will become one community, because right now, it's too many little pockets going on.
Thank
We
you.
all have to embrace each other, and thank you, too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
I just have
Your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nora Highland from the A-Team. I just have a quick rebuttal to Councilwoman Henderson. She talked about the Springwood Avenue project. And just to be clear, Jim Keady, who's on the A-Team, and Mayor Johnson were the co-chairs of that committee that created the plan, not Sue Henderson.
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to be clear about that.
That it? Thank you. Anyone else? We have time.
I voted on it.
We have time for one or two more.
Kevin Sanders.
Thank you.
Councilman. First, I want to rebut on what Harold Suggs said earlier about dysfunctional council. Most of the people from that's sitting in this audience came here because of the functions of this council. Okay? A lot of people have just recently moved here, came to Asbury Park because of what we did, because of the redevelopment in Asbury Park. And also on Myra Campbell's, when Stephen Manor was built, Vita Gardens were built, when the middle school was built, it was the exact same type of how the roads were tore up. They were tore up the exact same way in 1966, in 1972, and 1974. Exact same way where they built it up. We did the exact same thing. Yeah, it could have been done better, but again, going forward, we had some lessons that we learned, but exact same thing was done, and it's no problem with people's respiratory problems in Asbury Park now.
Thank you. Is that it?
John Moore,
John? Okay, Moore.
1 Asbury. Quick rebuttal to Councilwoman Henderson. Redevelopment's needed. There's no question about it. It's needed on all quadrants of the city. One of the major things we've listened to major developers, small businesses. The city is not business friendly. People go to City Hall and they get frustrated and they walk out. There's nobody there. There's not an ombudsman to help them walk through the process. It takes 3 to 6 weeks to get to zoning, then that's canceled because people don't show up. So the city has to be more business friendly no matter where the redevelopment is. Thank you.
Thank you. We're running close on time. I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to only allow one answer per slate. And of course, the independents will each get a chance to answer this question. It's obvious that in the city of Asbury Park, you have many churches that do not pay property taxes. You have a lot of parks and playgrounds which require maintenance and services, and they don't pay taxes. There are also some other tax giveaways or givebacks for builders and so on. And the question is, how, with all of that untaxed or low-taxed properties, can you see a way to reduce the overall tax burden in the city of Asbury Park? Now, I'll begin with Harold Suggs because I left you to be last a couple of times. Why don't you start today?
I'm used to it. What you need to do is start sharing the wealth. As a former elected or the appointed member of the planning board, I saw where the city was giving away too many tax abatements. And in fact, I spoke to someone recently in City Hall that told me they believe the city has been told by the state not to give any more tax abatements to anyone, and they believe they have violated that. I contacted the Department of Community Affairs and asked for, in fact, I filed an OPRA asking for that to be cited as being yes or no. But the reality is that the only way you can do that is for every fixed structure on or within the redevelopment area, you charge them maybe a small maintenance fee, because studies have shown that for every dollar you receive in redevelopment, you actually have to spend $1.50. So if you have more activity on the beachfront and more people living there, more people coming here, your service fees or fees to service that, cost to do so will increase as well. So that may be a remedy within itself.
Thank you. Thank you. From 1 Asbury, who will address that question?
John Moore, 1 Asbury. There's no question it's a tough way to balance a city when so many are tax exempt. Some are by state law that cannot be touched, and some can be touched. But one thing I think that the present administration has failed terribly is long-term budgeting, addressing a long-term budget. We seem to have been the past 5 to 6 to 10 years fixing the budget by gimmicks. 1 year we rated the surplus in the sewer plant. 1 year we refinanced the sewer plant. It was supposed to last 3 years. It lasted less than a year. It's always a gimmick. We're always putting our fingers in the dam to stop the floodwaters. This year it seems like we're going to budget on FEMA. It just goes on and on where there's no long-term planning. It's a terrible way to run a city, and it's just going to catch up to us eventually. Perfect example, we did the infrastructure. They refinanced it where it was supposed to be 55% for the city, 5%, and 40%. I had to bring up, no, the correct numbers were 57, 5, and 38. So me, being a layperson, I had to correct people that have been working on this plan for 9 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Forward Asbury?
Yes, we're talking about the economic growth of our city, and we're talking about taxes. If the city's doing so bad, when we took office, we were $12.5 million in transitional aid. We've gotten down to $3.5 million in transitional aid. That didn't just fall out of the sky. That happened because of the efforts of what this city was doing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want us to tax churches, that's going to have to be with the federal government. That is a law that the city cannot really do anything about. The parks, the recreational areas, we're not getting rid of them. They're going to be here. They're a part of our city. This is something that we need to take care of. And what we do for incentives for businesses in here, we do give tax incentives. We give tax abatements. Now, tax abatements are something that you give to an entity so they can afford to come here. The city still gets its taxes. They get a long-term abatement, and the cost is put over a number of years. So just the people that are here aren't paying for it. It's the people that also come in the future share that burden. Thank you.
Thank you. AP out front.
Steve Williams, AP out front. Talking about the tax abatements, I mean, I know it's pretty expensive to live downtown or near the beach. I don't see the people moving in here not having the money to move in and being able to pay property taxes. I don't see that being an issue. The townhomes that's going up, school taxes are not being paid on these townhomes. I'm not, going to get into churches and everything too deep, but what I will say is those churches need to be upkept. It needs to be some type of contract or some type of situation set in place where the city where the city can place workers there to maintain the grounds, keep the maintenance up to date and up to code, or they can hire someone and have proper paperwork in place to have somebody from the city come collect that paperwork, from code enforcement to come collect that paperwork. If they're going to not pay taxes, the least they could do is make sure someone has a job. That's the way I see it.
Thank you. Randy Thompson.
Randy Thompson, independent candidate. So the question, as I understand it, is about the tax-exempt properties.
Yes.
I don't see that as the only problem. I see the problem as we are upside down, as we have a large population. 1/3 of the population is under the federal poverty line. Another 20%, as I've heard, the other statistic is just above it. This is a population that requires a high level of municipal services and no way for us to raise revenue to pay for it. The two ways I know for people to get out of the hole of poverty, which are blatant, are homeownership and education. We have close to $4 million in RCA funds, which could be converted through the Council on Affordable Housing for new affordable housing that could be used for the Springwood Avenue redevelopment. And also, like I said before, addressing the educational outcomes, taking responsibility for that at City Hall, being a vocal and agitative force on the council. That's what I want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And from the A team?
Jim Keaty from the A team. So how do you deal with the tax issue? The first thing you need to do is recognize what the problem is. We have $43 million in city expenditures when we only have $33 million in city revenues. So you have a systemic imbalance with regard to revenues and expenditures. You may not be aware of this as citizens, but between June and August for the last 10 years, we've always had a cash flow problem. And the way that our city manager and the city council have dealt with it is they put out tax anticipation notes. The debt service we're paying on the interest alone on those notes is $300,000 a year. To address this problem, we need to reduce expenditures. We need to cut the city budget 5% over the course of the next 5 to 7 years to start to close the gap. We need to potentially create new tourist-based taxes. If we're going to capture some of that $40 billion in tourism revenues, we could be putting new taxes on to things that the people are coming to the city to do to help plug the budget holes as well. And finally, we need a new management team at City Hall, and that starts with the city council and the city manager. We need to establish a finance committee that is staffed with professionals that will tear our budget apart, tell us as a council what we need to do to get this issue under control so that we can lower your tax bill. Thank you.
Thank you.